I think that the music industry makes it entirely too hard to truly make a decent living. Venues want you to play for free, websites and companies want to use your music for free. If you're not a known band, everyone assumes your art is free. That quote came from an interview I conducted with Zach Myers on November 19th. I've been a music fan for quite a few years, and some of my favorite bands are independent bands. I've followed Remedy Drive for 3 years and watched them go from being a band that was signed with a record company to a band that is no longer with a record company. And they still have quite a bit of success as an independent band. But I've seen other bands who are independent, that is not signed with a record label, struggle. Independent musicians are simply people who aren't signed to a contract with a record company. They're usually hardworking and talented people who simply struggle because they don't have someone doing PR and supporting them. Today we are going to look at their plight, how you can help, and the results of you helping. First, let's look at how independent musicians are struggling. Independent musicians are hardworking people simply trying to support their families like any other person would. According to my November 18th interview with Gabe Romo, my career goal is to invest in a business and get it going so it can support my music ventures. Most independent musicians are simply trying to put food on the table, and it can be very hard. So many of them have to get side jobs, teach music lessons, or tour constantly. This can be a big strain on their families because they don't get to spend time and raise their children like a normal person would. David Zock, lead singer of Remedy Drive, is an example of this. He has had to tour as many as 275 concerts each year in order to be able to maintain his musical career, which is very hard for him because he's constantly away from his family. According to my November 18th interview with Gabe Romo, contrary to popular thought, there's not as much money in the entertainment industry as people think. Some may do very well, but it's usually a hobby that needs to be supported by some other means. Another issue with being independent is many bands are forced to be independent not because they couldn't sign with a record label, but because record companies often hurt a band's authenticity. Many record companies want a certain message to be made by the bands that they're signed with, as opposed to appreciating that the bands have interesting ideas that they want heard. So many times, a band might have a really cool idea for an album of something they want to get the word out about, but a record company isn't willing to support that. According to my interview with gospel singer Jerome Olds on November 19th, being independent lets you move on a tune when you want to, but with a record company, you have more support. Bands who can't sign with a label are often forced to either crowdfund or break up. Crowdfunding is a method bands use online to try to raise money for their projects. Crowdfunding can be things like a contest where people vote for a band, or a Kickstarter campaign where a band is trying to raise money. Either way, they need fan support to do this. According to my November 18th interview with Tim Buell, crowdfunding is one of the most important things a band does for new projects, and if a band is raising money like that, every bit you can give toward that is important and helps them toward their goal. The problem with crowdfunding is that if people don't get behind a band's project, it won't be successful, and often bands will put in countless hours working on a project and not make a single penny to show for it. Bands who can't be successful through things like crowdfunding or having a record label are often forced to break up. They may really enjoy being musicians and working with the people they get to work with, and they may enjoy their fans, but if they don't have enough support, they simply can't put food on the table for their families, and so they have to break up as a band. Also, the mainstream music industry is crushing independent projects and bands, because there are a select few people in the mainstream industry who are making millions of dollars and getting all the radio time, and that hurts the bands who are simply trying to put food on the table for their families. According to my interview with Nicole Moore of a band called The Era on November 18th, when I asked her if the mainstream music industry was crushing independent bands, she said, sometimes, because obviously we don't have as much of a following as mainstream music. It is also very hard for bands to get their name out if they don't have support from fans. According to my interview with David Zock on November 21st, it's really hard to spend marketing dollars out of pocket because I know that some of that money will work and some of it will just be thrown away. Many bands struggle because if you have a record label, they handle your public relations for you. But if you're independent, you have to do that yourself. And unless you have a degree in college from public relations, you probably don't know exactly how to do it, which can end up wasting a lot of time and money. There are many good bands that you will never hear simply because people aren't willing to get behind them and support them. And these can be from many different genres and of many different ages. There are many independent bands that are made of people who are in their 50s or 60s that are still trying to make a living from music. Bands also sometimes struggle to support their families, and it's too hard for them to be able to make money, and so they have to break up or find other means. According to my interview with Zach Myers on November 19th, I'd say my career goal is the same as any other musician, to make a good living and provide for my family by playing music and doing what I love. Myers is currently with a successful band called Twice Young, which is signed with a record label, but before that he was with a band called Calling Out Closer. This band was forced to break up because, for whatever reason, they weren't able to achieve a certain level of success to be able to make a living out of music. This is just one example of many bands who struggle because they can't make enough money in the music industry. Now we're going to look at how you can help. There are 4 main ways that you can help a band who is independent succeed. First, buy their music. Secondly, go to their concerts. Third, support their online campaigns. And fourth, tell your friends. First, with my interview with Tim Buell on November 18th, he says, buy music. Always buy music. So many people are getting music from friends or family members or stealing it offline. That hurts everyone involved with music. But also, support them live. That is how a lot of bands are making their money. So always see them live when you can. And look out for stuff they do over social media. Buying music is really a simple way to support a band. They're trying to put food on the table just like you are, so why steal their music when you could buy it? It's not really that hard. Secondly, go to bands' concerts. A great way to get to know a band is to go to a concert and watch them, and then you get to see how they act in real life, and you might even get to meet them and get to know them as people, which makes their music more personal. Third, you can support their online campaigns. Many bands make a lot of money just by doing online campaigns to support their projects, and their fans will get behind them and get music they want to hear because they can help donate. According to my interview with David Zock on November 21st, our fan base has been amazing. We crowdfunded our most recent record, and our community came together in an overwhelming way. We were able to pay for the production of the record and some of the marketing right off the bat, and our fans are loud about the project, helping us get the word out. Fourth, you can simply tell your friends. It's not that hard to, if you listen to a band you like, tell your friends about it or post something about it online. Who knows, this could be the band's big break. According to my interview with Nicole Moore on November 18th, it's all about creating relationships with the fans. When you're independent, that's the only way you will succeed. We realize that we can't do anything without the people that support us, and together we can hit it big. If you support these bands, they will succeed because it's people just like you and me who make independent music what it is. Something that is uncensored, talented, and quality music, instead of something that a record company is trying to push through their filter and make it something that maybe isn't honest and isn't quality music. And you'll feel good because you helped out a person who is trying to put food on the table for their family, just like you are. Today we've looked at how independent bands are struggling, how you can help them by buying their music, going to concerts, supporting them online, and telling your friends, and also how you will feel good because you were able to help them make quality music. These bands are struggling, but you can help. You'll feel good because you did. Let's help independent musicians. Let's make it possible to, as Zach Myers said on November 19th, make a truly decent living. Thank you. All right, now I'm going to show my bibliography page to the camera. This is my bibliography. And my mom will also hand out my bibliography page to each of you. And now I'm going to open up for any questions or comments.
I didn't hear the word hum at all. I mean, that was awesome. I didn't hear the word, you used the word hum at all. And also, I had a suggestion. When you said November 19th, November 21st, if you give this speech in March or April or May or any other time of the year, that kind of dates the speech.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't use, according to my interview with so-and-so on November 19th, I say, according to John Smith, I try to use without the dates.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would, try that, so.
Mm-hmm.
But kudos on not using the word so, I did last time, so.
I thought your writing style was really good. It's definitely improved over each speech that I've seen. This one was really easy to follow, and it was not a lot of repeating the same information. Something that I'd say you could work on was You had gestures, which is really good. Now it's time to like make them not so repetitive. And it's kind of hard to figure that out, but that's something that could be worked on.
Or you can use a video screen behind you in your speech, or you have some of these bands, just some, without the sound, but with some of these bands. Maybe you could identify some of the bands by just putting a header across the bottom here.
Sure, yeah.
That way, we're getting to know the band, we're seeing their name behind you, so that would open it up to.
Sure, yeah. And a great way you can support one of the bands, Remedy Drive, is they are doing something on a website called Artist Signal this month where you can go and vote for them once per hour. And they can win $10,000, which they're going to use to make an anti-human trafficking video. So if you'd like to help support a good cause. Any other questions or comments?
I thought one thing that was really good was just that when you did personal interviews, I thought it brought passion to your speech. It wasn't just something that you maybe read about, but you actually communicated with these people, so it brought a greater level of passion to your speech.
Maybe just a tad slower, just a little slower.
I thought there was really good eye contact, and you kept us involved in what you were saying.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you very much for coming, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it.